Pat Burrow. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be on with you.
Giants fans, this is Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
For a while. Now he swings and misses at a high fastball. And this game is over. And it was an unearned run that ended up beating the Giants in the final analysis. The Dodgers 2 and the Giants 1. An unearned run and a rather profound lack of offense for the Giants, who managed not only just the one run but only 3 hits the whole day. The Dodgers also snapped their 7-game losing streak.
Welcome into a Saturday afternoon extra inning postgame show with Bill Laskey. After a Friday night, an exciting 8-7 win on Orange Friday, the Giants could not muster any type of offense against the Los Angeles Dodgers pitchers today, starting off with Shohei Ohtani when the first inning, throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastball by Yastrzemski, 100-mile-an-hour fastball by Ramos, and then throwing a breaking ball for strike 3 to Devers. That's how the offense started, and that's how it ended. They just could not get anything going. They had one opportunity in the 4th inning with a couple walks, couldn't score, and then in the 8th inning, that's when they had the possibility of tying the game with a fly ball, a sac fly by Devers, but they could not come up with another run as the Giants lose 2-1. In an afternoon game at Oracle Park, sold out. The Giants fans were waiting for some action, and the Giants just could not get anything going. At one time, they had 12 up, 12 down in the middle of the innings between the 4th and the 7th inning. A lot of fly ball outs and a lot of deep counts, but they just could not muster anything against Ohtani and Sheehan. And Emmett Sheehan, and nobody really knows about him, he's only had 4 games in Major League Baseball. The 25-year-old from New York City went to Boston College, ended up going 13 1/3 innings in 4 of the games. He's only given up 10 hits, 3 earned runs. And he threw a fastball, a slider, a changeup, and a curveball, but he kept the off-speed going, and that's what really upset the hitters as they were falling back and popping up. Again, the Giants pitched very well today also. When you look at what Landon Roop did, he goes 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run only. And the question that I go on this 1 earned run, he had Kim on an 0-2 pitch with 1st and 2nd and 2 outs. And he threw a strike, and it was down across the zone, and it was enough for Kim, who's a contact hitter, to put the ball in the left center field. He had elevated a fastball to strike him out in the 2nd. He had thrown a changeup out of the zone in the 4th to strike him out. And I was a little flustered why he wanted to throw an 0-2 pitch across the plate. Even across the plate, he could have wasted it away, throwing a breaking ball down and away or something, and it ended up costing him that earned run. In the 2nd inning, a base hit by Conforto, and then another base hit up the middle by Pages. And when you look at what Adames did, he stopped the ball, and he tried to flip it back to Schmidt, but the flip was offline, and it ended up going off and into short infield, and it made it 1st and 3rd, and a ground ball to second base by Edmonds scored the run, an unearned run. It was a tough play. Adames stopped the ball. He was trying to make a flip, and he just couldn't get enough on it, and he couldn't get the accuracy that he wanted to flip it to Schmidt. And those were really the only 2 runs. I commend the bullpen once again. Joey Lucchesi, who's now getting a little more opportunity coming into the bullpen, he goes 1 inning, punches out 2, punched out Rushing, and Ohtani in the 7th inning really threw the ball well. He threw 13 pitches, 8 for strikes, had a 1-2-3 inning. Ryan Walker followed him with a nice 1-2-3 inning there, and he only threw 15 pitches for 9 strikes. And Tyler Rogers, all Giants fans, including myself, should have him going to Atlanta as the All-Star game. 48th game he's come in. The Giants have played 96. He's been in half of the games for the San Francisco Giants. He comes in, gives up 1 hit, made a nice play and a ball back to him, throwing it at Adames. He goes 1 inning, 1 hit, throws 10 pitches, 8 for strikes. This is how stellar he's been the whole, as you say, first half before the All-Star break. And a lot of people are getting picked up. A lot of players are falling out. They don't want to play. They don't want to pitch. And other players and pitchers are being added. And Tyler Rogers deserves it for what he's done and how many appearances he's been in and he's pitched awesome. There's no question. 1.4 earned run average, and once again, he got out of a jam with just one hit. But the Giants just couldn't get anything going in the 8th inning. They had Sheehan and a possibility when Bailey got the hit. First hit they had in 12 in a row that he had retired. And then a walk by Yastrzemski and a base hit by Ramos that loaded up the bases with one out. And here was a chance for Rafael Devers to be that Dodger killer. He got under it, had a sac fly, and that was the only run the Giants scored. So tomorrow, the rubber match starts in this 3rd game. 1:05 first pitch. Yamamoto, the all-star, 8-7 with a 2.7 earned run average, going against Ray, the lefty for the Giants, 9-3 with a 2.6 earned run average. That should be a good game. 2 all-stars going at it. And I just want to praise Landon Roop. He really threw the ball well today. Going back what Roop was doing, if you remember, all he had was a 2-seam fastball and a curveball, and he used that sometimes in games. But the last outing against the Dodgers, if you remember the numbers here, he only went an inning and 2/3, gave up 4 hits, 5 walks, and he walked off that mound in L.A. with 6 earned runs. Since then, he had 4 starts. He went 20 1/3 innings, 19 hits, 3 earned runs only with 18 strikeouts going into this game. So another good outing by him makes it 26 1/3 innings, 26 hits. He's only given up 4 earned runs in those 5 starts. And there was no question he was coming after the Dodgers today. Very aggressive. 16 first pitch strikes for 25 hitters. 104 pitches, the most he's thrown so far in the 2025 season. 76 strikes, and he got the ground balls. But what I like about what he did today, he used his changeup, a pitch that he was working on. Also used the fastball and a cutter. 3 pitches that he is trying to establish to put in his arsenal. And today, the changeup really worked. He threw 32 of those. And they were probably about 86, 84, which is a real good speed when his average is about 94, 92 on the fastball. So he used 32 changeups, 33 curveballs, 35 sinkers. And if you can bring that changeup in to use it at 30 of your pitches, you saw what he did. He struck out 8 Dodgers, and 5 of them were on changeups. And a lot of them are going out of the zone. But the motion he has and where the release point is, it's fabulous that he's getting confidence in this pitch. And he's really pitched well for the San Francisco Giants so far this season as a first year of going 162 games. So a tough loss, no question about it. You would have loved to have seen them pull this game out, but some very good pitching on the Dodgers side just stymied the San Francisco Giants bats. 808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines, 415-808-5627. Got a couple great guests later in the show. Daryl Thomas, you may remember him, played with the San Francisco Giants, and then he ended up playing with the Dodgers. And I ended up talking to Jack Hyatt. Jack Hyatt in his early 80s, and he reflected on the 60s when Juan Marichal and Roseboro and a lot of the different things from Mays and McCovey. So a couple of good interviews talking about this rivalry at different eras. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. We're going to take a quick break, get to the phone lines, 415-808-KNBR. Let's talk Giants rivalry with the LA Dodgers and one more game before the All-Star break, and the Giants end up today losing 2-1. They're 52-44. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
Hi, it's former Major Leaguer Buddy Biancalana. It was my zone experience in the World Series in which I played the best of my career that led to being the founder of Zone Motion, the only mental training program proven through research and studies to enhance performance and expedite development for athletes of any age. Whether you're a professional or any level amateur, regardless of your sport, Zone Motion is for you. You can check out this life-changing program at zonemotion.com. And go Giants!
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
0-1. Chapman on deck. First time the Giants have gotten a runner as far as third in this game. Base hit to the outfield could tie the game here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Now the 1 strike offering. Swing, and there's a high drive out into Triple's alley, deep, but into the wide open spaces and catchable. Back at the edge of the warning track, Pages makes the catch, tagging up at third, and coming in to score Bailey. Also tagging up, Yastrzemski going to third. Ramos went halfway to second and returns to first. And Devers has knocked in the Giants' first run of the game.
Back on the Extra Inning post-game show in an afternoon, beautiful afternoon here in Northern California with Bill Laskey. The Giants just couldn't get anything going today as they lost 2-1 on 1 unearned run and 1 earned run. And when I'm looking at my box score here, Devers, Chapman, Adames, Lee, Schmidt, and Smith 0 for 19. 0 for 19 in the middle of the order from 3 through 8. And that just tells you the story. Yesterday, when you were looking at the box score yesterday, they scored 8 runs on 9 hits, and most of it was in the bottom of the order. Adames was also hot yesterday. He went 2 for 4 with a home run and a triple, 3 RBIs. Jung-Hoo Lee also 3 for 4. Today, they just couldn't get anything going. As the Dodgers pitchers, Ohtani looked great for 3 innings. He just looked super, getting up to 100 miles an hour. He threw mostly all fastballs, and he elevated a lot of them. He had a sweeper going, a cutter, a slider, and a sinker. But really, when you looked at it, he threw 36 pitches, 23 fastballs. They just couldn't come and connect with it. They couldn't even make contact with it when you look what he did. 3 innings, only giving him 1 hit, and that was Yastrzemski's base hit in the 3rd, 1 walk. And that was in the 2nd inning to Jung-Hoo Lee, and he punched out 4. So, we'll see what he does the second half, how much more they're going to start pushing him. He sure looks strong today. And Emmett Sheehan, a 25-year-old kid, has only been up since June 18th. He really threw the ball well for the Dodgers today, going 4 1/3, only giving up 2 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He was really the main guy in the middle innings, as the Giants couldn't even muster a hit from the 4th inning on, as they had 12 up, 12 down before that 8th inning. And he had an opportunity to tie it, maybe hit a ball off the wall or something like that, or a gap. It just didn't happen today. So the Giants, again, another 1-run loss. So when you look at 96 games they've been in, 39 1-run games, 39 of them already, and they're 22-17. Still good numbers. Great numbers still at Oracle Park, 28-18. One more game tomorrow before the All-Star break. And then the Giants go on a road trip to Toronto and Atlanta, 2 tough teams right there, and we'll find out what happens during the All-Star break, who's going to start those, and what probables are going to happen. All right, let's get to the phone lines, 415-808 KNBR. Let's go to Pete on the Peninsula. Pete, you're on with Bill Laskey on KNBR. How are you today?
Hey, good to talk to you, Bill. Yeah, the place was packed, man. 41,000. The home run king was there. And what does the Giants offense do? Lay an egg, man. If I had $1,
some
Bill,
good pitching,
for every
though, Pete.
pop-up and every fly out, I might have had half enough to buy a sundae. It's unreal. These guys keep swinging up, man. They don't swing level. They don't hit the ball level.
Yeah, a lot of fly ball outs and a lot of strikeouts, too, when you look at it. They had 9 strikeouts, and it wasn't double digits, but they just couldn't muster anything. And through the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th inning, 12 up, 12 down. That's when I get frustrated with guys swinging too quick, getting ahead of counts, a 2-0 count, and they don't take a 3rd pitch, and they swing, and it turns into be a pop-up. But you're so right, Pete. Not good hitting today.
Definitely not. Also, I think when pitchers change speeds on them, they're not good at adjusting to that. I don't think they are at all. And this is a good – I'll let you go after this, Bill, but this is a good marker for them. This is a good measurement. Mid-season,
it is.
How do they play against the Dodgers? This is going to tell you what kind of team you got. So great show.
Well, Pete,
and,
this is only the – Yep, thank you. And Pete, it is only the 5th game they've played the Dodgers, and they're 3-2 or 2-3 against the Dodgers. They have been playing pretty good baseball against them. When you look at when they went down to L.A., they won the first game 6-2. They lost Saturday's game 11-5, and then that Sunday game when Devers was traded, they lost 5-4. That game yesterday was so exciting when they had the lead and they held it with Rogers and Duvall in the 8th and 9th inning. And today was just not their day with the hitting. And you just chalk it up, some good pitchers. And, when you look at Ohtani for 3 innings was spot on. He was everything that a good Cy Young pitcher would be, and he was that type of pitcher today. And, when you're playing the Dodgers and they've lost 7 in a row, the circumstances of trying to make it 8 are really tough. And today the Giants ended up losing on an unearned run in the 2nd inning and then an earned run in the 6th. But overall, I thought the Giants played a good game today. A good pitching from Roop, Luke Casey, Walker, and Rogers. And just like Pete said, the bats just weren't there today. All right, let's go to Gary in San Ramon. Gary, you're on with Bill Laskey on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. How's your day going? Are you there, Gary? Are you there, Gary? Did I lose Gary? All right, let's go to Gabby. Gabby was at the game today. Gabby, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Mr. Laskey. How are you?
Well, a disappointing loss. Thought the offense just couldn't muster anything today, especially in the middle of the innings. And you heard our last caller, and you were at the game. The ballpark was sold out. Just couldn't get the crowd involved.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. In the later innings, in the eighth there, we were getting it together. For the longest time when we were doing our Let's Go Giants, those Dodger fans were, yelling right over us. But towards the end there, we were really getting the volume going there, and we did get a lot more in the game. So a couple of things I want to talk about. Obviously, you guys are right. Our bats aren't there. Yesterday we did better. That's baseball, right? You guys always say turn the page, So we have good
Yeah,
days,
it is. Exactly.
But I haven't heard you talk about the defense. I mean, the first couple innings, it was like, what are we doing? It was, we couldn't catch a ground ball. It was, I think that might have helped us a little bit too, to have the defense there. It just seemed like they were a little nervous. It was too much pressure. They were swinging at everything that was, coming their way. Like I said, I think the defense was done a little bit better. A couple of things bothered me. That eighth inning, man, we got that first inning, that first run, and then all the Giants fans around me are on our feet. We're thinking we're going to tie it up, and then Matt Williams stopped the base runner. I can't remember who it was, but he got like a third of the way there, turned around and came back. We're like, what are you going to lose at that point? One out? You know what I mean? We still would have had another out. Just frustrating when
I think the at bat, Gabby. I think everybody at that ballpark was waiting for Devers to do something. Here was a possibility of being that Dodger killer with bases loaded, and Vesia was in the lefty against lefty. He hit the ball very well to right center field as a sac fly, but I would have loved to seen a line drive in the gap or even just a base hit to try to tie it. That was the way to turn the tide in that game. The one defensive thing you're talking about happened in the second when the Adames Pages hit that ball up the middle, and he caught it, and he tried to backhand it to Schmidt, and he didn't make the accurate throw, and Conforto with a heads-up play, the ball ended up being in the infield and made it first and third. That was really the only mistake they made. They played pretty good defense, Gabby. That was really the unearned run that gave the Dodgers the early lead in that game. Are you there?
I want to say, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now, Gabby.
Okay. Sorry, I'm driving. I might have hit a dead spot. But I know you have other callers. I'll let you go. I just want to say the rivalry. I get it. I'm in it as much as anyone else. I understand the history. But the Dodgers don't bother me as much as Dodgers fans. Every time they come, they get drunk, they get rowdy. A girl next to me almost got in a fight with a couple different people, Dodgers fans fighting each other. I took her out. I'm like, sweetie, it's not worth getting arrested. And I mean, it was just, it's embarrassing. It's like friendly.
It's frustrating too, Gabby. It's frustrating for people to go to the game and pay good money, and you want to just watch a good game of baseball, and you don't want to see brawls. You don't want to see drunk people screaming and hollering, making fools of themselves, and that's what has to happen. And it's stopping. A lot of the security guards are trying to get involved in it and calm it down, and it's tough when you have two rival teams, as you just said, Gabby, the Dodgers and the Giants. This has been going on forever, since the 1960s, but sometimes you just go and cheer for your team and be very polite and have fun instead of always wanting to fight and cause rumpus and say words that shouldn't be even used.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. And my last point here is I've been to several Giants-Dodgers games in L.A., and I do feel like that we are more respectful. We understand we're in your house, but I just have never experienced that at either of our ballparks. So, just I guess a plea for Dodgers fans, let's all play nice together. And thank you for taking my call, Mr. Laskey. Always
Gabby, thanks for calling in. Appreciate your call today, and I wish we'd have had a win to talk about, but they ended up losing 2-1 today. But Gabby makes a lot of good points. When you go to the game, you want to be respectful for opponents, not just Dodger fans, and everybody's there to watch the game. Cheer for your team. You don't have to be abusive to talk about it or to try to start fights and wars and things like that. There's more to baseball than that, and be a fan. I think that's the main thing. All right, let's go to Vance. He's at Seal Beach. Vance, you're on Extra Inning post-game show on a Saturday afternoon. What'd you think of the game today, Vance?
Well, I thought Landon Rupp did a great job. He kept the big hitters at bay. I think he struck out Ohtani a couple of times, and neither team really hit the ball. A pitching duel like that, all the hitters kind of look off. You talk about how they're struggling, but there was some good pitching. And the way the first 3 innings, I thought it could have been a blowout with the way Ohtani was dominating, and you know what I mean. And but for a rookie like Rook to keep his composure and battle right back, I was very impressed.
So was I, and I was impressed in him using some new pitches, the changeup that he's learning, the cutter he's using, the cross-seam fastball. He, like I was saying earlier, he threw 32 changeups, and he had struck out 8 Dodgers and 5 of them with that changeup. You're absolutely right. Ohtani and Betts today, the top 2 hitters, 0 for 8 today, and they had 4 strikeouts. So you were absolutely right with the top 2 hitters in that lineup. It was really the middle of the order. Michael Conforto, again, coming back against the Giants, going 3 for 4 today, and he was hitting the ball real well earlier in the game.
Yeah, and especially for Landon after that stinker he did in L.A. to come back strong, that shows mental toughness. He could have got back in that little hole. Another thing is, I live down here in L.A. most of the time. I've always been a Giant fan. I'm 72. Since I was a kid, and I love Dodger Giant games on TV with Vin Scully. I couldn't wait to watch. I'd get Vin Scully in the weekend was great, but I can't watch these guys anymore on these Dodger things, man. I got to turn them off.
Well, we got spoiled, didn't we, Vince? We got spoiled.
Yeah, we
got spoiled with
I mean, geez. I turn on the radio, but it just goes to show Giant fans we have to really enjoy Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper while we got them. Because they're in
and then you got Dave Fleming and John Miller on radio. I'm the 4 best announcers.
Yeah.
They really are very good, and the excitement they bring to the game is always a pleasure to listen to. And Giants fans are definitely spoiled with all those 4 because they are the very best. When you talk about Vince Scully, I remember the years when I pitched down in L.A. and you could hear him announcing the games because they had speakers on during the stadium. You could hear him talking about you as you're on the mound because it was his voice is carried in the stadium. It was pretty fun.
When I was a kid, everybody had transistors, and you could hear the transistors back in the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean? Was Vince Scully, and he just called. He always got you fired up. The Dodgers and Giants going to be rolling in the dirt this weekend, and it was a battle. You know what I mean? It wasn't like these guys. It just makes me.
He had a calm voice, didn't he, Vance? He always just had a calm voice, but that voice got excited when there was parts of the game where you were kind of listening a little closer to him. And what a fabulous announcer he was, and he brought so much character to the game.
He loved Willie Mays. When he retired, that trip up to San Francisco, he did an interview with Willie. It was classic.
He did.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it
I
was
appreciate
special.
your show.
Vance, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. And Vance was so right. Vince Scully was that voice. And anytime you went and faced the Dodgers, you knew you were going to hear Vince Scully do the game or talk about the game or even TV or radio. His voice was just so magnetic, and it was so exciting. What a great guy. What a great person Vince Scully was. I got to meet him a few times, and just a class guy, very personable, looked you right in the eye, shook your hand and said hello, and you talked to him for a little bit. Just a super guy. All right, let's go to Barfighter. He's in San Jose. Barfighter, haven't heard from you in a while. Giants lose today, a tough one, but they're still playing good baseball.
Oh, hey, Barfighters still have to earn a living, man.
Well, Barfighter, you forget your phone, or did you lose it here and there?
No, that great second baseman of ours, and should be a future Hall of Famer, said, "Enjoy the game more."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what? Willie Adames sure enjoys the game. I mean, he's had a smile on his face ever since he put a Giants uniform on. He's hitting the ball real well since June 10th. Today, they just stymied him. They stymied this whole middle of the order, Barfighter.
Kudos to that whole trade. That was a great trade. Posey's, he's brought a new spirit and a new life to the SF Giants.
I think so, too. I really do. And I think there's going to be a few more things going on, too, Barfighter. I don't think this is it. I think they're definitely looking for a left-handed reliever out of the bullpen. I think that's something that they do need, even though Joey Lucchese's gotten better every time he's gone out there.
Oh, well, the thing about this team is that it's leveraging itself into the playoffs. It's not totally right off the bat impressive, but it's leveraging itself into a playoff spot.
Well, Barfighter, when you look at what happened July 4th, the beginning of the month, 9 games out. There were 9 games out, and as of yesterday, with that win, there were 4 games. There's still 5 games out. Win tomorrow, they finish the first half at 4. Lose tomorrow, it's at 6. But still, you're still close to the Dodgers. You're not double digits anymore, and you still have a good second half where you're going to play them a ton of games in September.
And I just want to give a multiple thumbs up to Will. You knew I was going to say this, right? My intro. Still a proud and long-standing member of the Lunatic Fringe, and
I was waiting for it.
To Will the Thrill. He will always be a Hall of Famer in my eyes, always, and he knows exactly how to remove phlegm.
Good one.
He knows
right
how
there.
to get off
that
the
was.
phlegm.
I still think that was blowing up way too big, way too much over nothing. But you know what? I love the Will. He's one of my best friends, and he conquered it. He said his piece. He apologized, and he said, "Move on, water under the bridge." And that's Will Clark to the team.
the guy, he's well known as having a spunky behavior, man, and that's what he's well known for. Hey,
well, Barfighter, man. Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
Real quick. Hey, I'm looking forward to hearing that Daryl Thomas interview because I remember back in the day, this was the end of the Giants era after 71, playoff loss to the Pirates. Then Stoneham traded Tito Fuentes, and then Daryl Thomas came up. But one of the remarkable things is I believe it was Bill Rigney who said that Daryl Thomas was close to outfield capability as Willie Mays, because they moved Thomas from second base to center field for a while before they traded him to the Dodgers.
Yeah, and Bill Rigney was a manager of his with Joey Altomelli. He was also with him, and he was talking about when he first came to the Giants. Wes Restrom was there in 1975. A great interview with him. I ended up finding him and talking to him, and we talked a lot of Giants when he first came over with some of the players, some Matthews, Maddox, Mercer, Dave Rader. We just went right through those years, and then he ended up going to the Dodgers. They ended up winning a World Series when he was 1981. He's played a lot of teams, most of them with the West Coast. He played with the Padres, Giants, and Dodgers. Played every position, Barfighter, except pitcher.
Bill, the Giants had such a great scouting system at that time, but then Stoneham started having some financial problems and started trading all of these Maddox, Matthews, all of the potential stars that could have got the Giants into playoffs, World Series.
They had some good seasons too. They were right around 500 most of the time, but they were playing in a tough division. And when you talk about what he played, second base, 15 years, 13 years in the outfield, second base and shortstop, he played multiple positions. Very good player. His hitting was okay, 240, 230. But again, he was solid in what he did on the defensive side. But Barfighter, good talking to you, man. I hope you're doing well. Let's go to Stockton. Let's go to Stockton and talk to Don. Don, you're on the Extra post-game show on a Saturday afternoon. Giants lose a tough one. They just couldn't score, couldn't get any hits going. They only had 3 hits, Don.
Hey, Bill, they kept it close like they've been doing all year, and I love it, okay? They could have won today. They could have tied the game. And the other day, I was happy as hell because they held on. But, man, they had, 8-2 lead? And I'm like, oh, we're looking good, but all of a sudden, bang, 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 and they almost tied the game up on us. Hey, I got a couple things I want to mention.
They had an 8-2. But 1 second, Don. They did have an 8-2 lead, and the Dodgers came back, and they scored 4 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, and it got down to that 8th and 9th inning, and finally Duvall got Smith to hit that double play. But that was an exciting game last night.
Oh, that was big. That was a big win. And, I haven't seen the Dodgers lose 6-7 games in a row in a long time.
2017, that's
8.
when it was. Yeah, 2017 they lost 7 in a row. And, they pitched well. You got to give they're out there pitching just like the Giants. I was very proud of the bullpen and Landon Roop today. When you stymie this team to 1 earned run, they had opportunities in that 8th inning. It just didn't come about.
Yeah, Logan Webb pitched a great game. He just got in a little trouble and didn't get into the 6th or 7th, but he's been doing that all year. And but I wanted to mention something. You guys were talking about ex-Dodgers that played for the Giants, and I said nobody mentioned Brett Butler. Man, what a great center fielder we had.
Yeah. There's a whole list of them, Don. There's a lot of good players. He played real well for the Dodgers, too. A very good infielder, a leadoff hitter. How about all the bunt hits he used to get?
Oh, he was a great leadoff hitter. I wanted to mention, too, if you got a minute, my favorite game was the one where we had a runner at second. The Dodgers had a runner at second. I think it was in the 10th inning, and they had that pop fly in the infield, and they dropped it by accident. Nobody touched it, and then they threw it into left field. And I'll never forget that.
When did that happen?
I got it on tape. That was
years ago?
last year. Yeah, I think it was last year, and it went straight up, and everybody just kind of. I think it was Junis threw it into right field. I'm sorry, not left field.
Funny.
And it ricocheted off, and Yastrzemski came in, and they got. It was their leadoff hitter. What's his name for the Dodgers?
Who, Ohtani?
No, not Ohtani. He's been leading off, but the little guy, second base or shortstop.
Mookie Betts.
Anyway, Mookie Betts. He didn't run it out, and then he got in a rundown between second and third because they had 2 guys at third base. Man, jeez. I'll never forget that.
The old fun games of baseball. All the things that you remember on most of them that. Should be outs, and they don't make them outs. And then you're listening to the little leaguers, and you're saying they do the same thing in the big leagues. So a fun game that you end up remembering, Don. But thanks for the call. I appreciate your time. All right, we're going to take a quick break on the Extra Inning Postgame shows. Got a good list of callers, and I'll get right back to you. But I got to take a quick break here, and we'll come back with more right here on the Sports Leader.
Sound right, boy. Sound right, boy.
From the mound to the mic, this is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him by saying to your smart speaker, play KNBR.
0-2 the count. He throws. Curveball lined into left center, base hit. He doubled up on the curve, and this time Kim was right on it. And that will get a run home. Here comes the throw into second, and the tag by Schmidt, and he's out at second. He tried to turn that into a double, and Elliot Ramos cut him down. But the number one point of it was that Conforto scores, and the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead. The Dodgers are checking with the video room, but they will not ask for a review of that one. It's now 2-0 LA as we go to the last of the sixth.
All right, back on the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. That was the only earned run that Landon Roop gave up, and it was an 0-2 mistake down in the zone but across the plate. And Kim is so sensational about going the opposite way. I brought this up earlier in the show. He struck him out in the second inning with a fastball up, and he had everything down. He elevated a fastball across seam, struck him out. And then in the fourth inning, had him again, and they had first and second, and he struck out Pages, and then next thing you know, Kim came up and he struck him out with a changeup down in the zone. That's why that 0-2 pitch confused me, because he could have had a couple pitches, maybe a curveball down in the zone or maybe another elevated fastball, but he went with another changeup, and it was down enough, but it was across the plate, and Kim hits the ball to left center field, and a run scores, Conforto scores, and that's where the 2 runs came about. The first one was unearned in the second inning, but the second one was earned, and that was the winning run as the Giants lose 2-1. A good game, but a tough game for the offense. The Giants just couldn't muster any type of hitting, as they only ended up getting 3 hits. 2 of those were in the 8th inning, and the first one was Yastrzemski in the 3rd inning, and they just couldn't do anything with Shohei Ohtani. And then Emmett Sheehan came in and threw 4 in the 3rd innings, and he was masterful. He really threw well. Giants get one more chance at the Dodgers tomorrow, and that's the last game before the All-Star break. 1:05 first pitch. Ray pitches. Robbie Ray, he's 9-3 with a 2.63 earned run average. Going to the All-Star game, he will not pitch there. And Yamamoto, the right-hander from Japan, will be pitching. Now, you remember last time when he faced the Giants, he only went 4 2/3 innings in L.A., gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs. That was when Casey Schmidt hit his first grand slam, walked 5 in that game. So just like Landon Roop, there's no doubt about it, Yamamoto wants to go out and stymie the Giants tomorrow. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to Sacramento and talk to Nick. Nick, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday afternoon. Tough game today. What'd you think?
Hey, Bill. Hey, so a few of the callers, and I agree with you, talking about the Dodger fans acting, not great at the stadium. And the best way to, stifle that and to stop it is for the Giants to win. And, it's hard to win when a lot of batters keep popping up. I almost started to keep count. It's just hard. And, the pitching's great, but what's the secret to not popping up?
Well, I wish I had an answer. They had 11 fly balls today on the infield as well as the outfield. I was just counting them while you were talking, and then you also add 7 strikeouts in there. A lot of times when you hear hitting coaches say, hit the ball down, get the ball. If you see the ball down, hit it down. If the ball's up, don't swing at it. That's where a lot of fly balls go. And a lot of times what I don't understand, Nick, is when they're ahead of count 2-0, 2-1, and they're swinging at balls out of the zone. That frustrates me watching it instead of taking a couple more pitches. They really didn't have a lot of opportunities against Sheehan. Sheehan was right in there every time. 35 pitches out of 55 for strikes, so he was around the zone. And we keep talking about the fly balls instead of ground balls. Try to hit the ball down instead of hitting it up. A couple balls were hit pretty deep, but nothing on the offensive side where the Giants could muster anything. When you look at what happened from the 4th inning on, 0 for 12, 12 up, 12 down. The middle of the order didn't do anything. Yesterday, a little more exciting, a little more balls in play. They scored 8 runs early. Couldn't do anything after that either, after the 5th inning. So the Giants are stymied a little bit. Dodgers threw well. That's the other thing you got to look at. Ohtani, if he was going to go more than 3 innings, he would have probably shut him out for a while because he was on fire today.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. It was actually a good game on both sides. In terms of the pitching, I thought was great on both sides. That one error was kind of costly, as you know. But, hey, they overall, the first half of the season has been pretty good, and the second half will just get even better, I hope. So.
Yeah, and there's some good competition coming up here. Don't forget Toronto and then Atlanta, and then they come back here to play the Mets and the Pirates. So the first 4 series are going to be with winning teams, and the Pirates are playing real well. The Mets are battling the Phillies. Toronto, the surprise team in the AL East, they're in first place over the Yankees. So a lot of these games are going to be good games. They just got to get this offense better. When you're starting to look at Ramos, he's in a little hole right now, 9 for 62. He's kind of fallen back. He was hit about 290. Now he's hitting 265. I'm still waiting for Rafael Devers to get hot. I think this guy, once he gets hot, he's going to carry this team for a couple weeks.
Now, is that his hamstring? Like, do you attribute that to a little bit? Because I've heard that. I don't know if that's true, that it's his hamstring.
No, it's his lower back. That's what they're worried about. Yeah, they're worried about his lower back. The groin is what it is. It's not the hamstring. That's just maybe from running. That's what they said, the lower back. They did an MRI on it, and the All-Star break will give him a good 4 or 5 days. They'll get some treatment on it. He still wants to play. He does not want to sit. Bob Melvin says he's asked him to sit, and he does not want to sit. He wants to play every game. I love that out of him. That's a gamer in my eyes. Today, I would have loved to seen him hit a ball in a gap with bases loaded. I think all Giants fans would have loved to seen him be that Dodger killer like he was when he was with Boston to beat the Yankees. It just wasn't enough. And today he just got a sac fly, got the only run in. But we'll find out. Tomorrow's another day, and we flip the coin tomorrow and see what Robbie Ray throws out there. And it should be a good finish for a 3-game series. But thanks for the call today, Nick. Appreciate your time. Let's go to Redwood City and talk to Chris. Chris, you're on with Bill Laskey on KNBR. What's up with you, my friend?
Hi, Bill. Great show. First of all, I always want to start off by thanking you for all those wonderful summer days back in the early 80s, you and dear Vida.
You're showing your age, Chris. That's what you're telling me right now, pal.
I was born the year the Giants came to San Francisco, so I was lucky enough to see Willie Mays play on that god-awful Malibu Grand Prix AstroTurf they had out there.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so here's my question. Obviously, I've been watching the Giants for an awful long time. And I don't understand something. I thought when a player comes out of a game, he's out of a game. He can't come back into the game. You know what I'm referring to?
Talking about Ohtani?
Damn right.
Yeah. Well, he was a pitcher, so that slot stays as a pitcher. So he stays in the game as a pitcher, but now he becomes a designated hitter.
Well, I don't get that. I mean, if Rick Russell is the great hitter, comes out of the game, he can't come back the next half inning and come to bat.
Well, if he was hitting, Ohtani was hitting in the number 1 spot. So he's in the lineup. It's not like he was pitching and then came back into the game. He was in the slot of being a hitter in the first slot. So he's still there. He was named as a pitcher when you look at the lineup today. They had him listed as a pitcher. So now when he comes back in the game, they make him a designated hitter. And then the pitcher is out of the game, of course, and that's when the reliever comes in. Yeah, it's a little different. I was looking at that also, how he was going to play, and they didn't have a designated hitter on a call, but he was in that slot, so he doesn't get pushed out of the game because he comes out as a pitcher. So that's the part of the designated hitter. That's what the old school, Chris, and I know you and I are talking about old school, when the pitcher was batting ninth and you had double switches and all the different things that happened. That, to me, was managing. That was the fun part of watching managers manage.
But, I mean, if any player comes out of the game, how can he come back?
But he didn't come out of the game. All he did was come off the pitcher's mound. He was slotted in that number 1 spot. He never came out of the batting order.
He doesn't count. Is that it? I mean, I don't get the differentiation, Bill. I wish you could explain it to me so my simple mind would understand. I figured you'd know the answer. I don't understand that answer, though.
Well, the answer is if you're taking 1 through 9 hitters, and he's in the slot of a number 1 hitter, and he is mentioned as the pitcher in the slot. That's what they have him at. He doesn't come out of the game as a hitter. He comes out as a pitcher. So the pitcher goes into the game. He becomes a designated hitter at that time. That's all that is. It's just this flip-flop on what position he's playing in that order. That's best I can explain it, because he's still in the game. He has not been taken out of the game. He's been taken off the mound. Maybe that's a different way of printing it. Maybe I should say it a different way, but that's about the only way I can explain it.
Well, okay. I mean, you're a position player out in the field, and you're also a hitter in the lineup. Isn't that the same thing as what you're telling me?
Well, you're a pitcher. That's where it comes down to it. The pitcher becomes the designated hitter. That's how the whole flip-flop does. And then the pitchers just fill in when they're throwing. So it is what it is, Chris. You and I can go back and forth on the explanation of it, but that's pretty much simplest that I can make it. And, he still stays in as a designated hitter is really the answer.
Okay. Well, all right. Thanks anyway, Bill.
All right, Chris, thank you. Let's go to Liam in San Rafael. Liam, you're on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. A tough game today. Good game tomorrow. It should be a good one. The two All-Stars going at each other.
Hey, Bill. How we doing?
I'm doing good, Liam. Tough game today. I thought I'd see a little bit more offense. They were hitting the ball very well against the Phillies and the Athletics, and they got one more game to try to take this series, and they'll win 3 series before the All-Star break, which would be a good momentum move.
Well, I agree. My observation is this. I only pitched in JUCO for a couple of years, but Will Clark used to talk about the I and the R. He didn't use those letters, but I know what he was doing. Mm-hmm. It's the ideal versus the reality.
Okay.
In an ideal setting, you always get a fastball, and you hit the ball where you want to make the game go where you want to go. But reality is you never get the fastball where you want it. And so you still try to make what it is in the ideal setting that your goal was. Mm-hmm. And that might mean you get a really nasty changeup away and you pop it over the shortstop's head, or a curveball that's just foul and you somehow hurl it over the first baseman's head. But hitting is an approach. And I love Buster Posey, and the dude knew what he was doing when he was hitting, because Bochy was just awesome, especially with the bullpen. Mm-hmm. But that mentality of ideal versus reality, that's got to come up more, because we have way too many good
the game has
contact
changed
hitters.
too, though, Liam. Let me just interrupt here real quick. The game has changed with the hitting styles. They do a lot of analytics. They do a lot of video. They watch the pitchers, what they're throwing in certain situations. That's the kind of reality they're doing. It's not the old style, look for the fastball, hunt for the fastball, go the opposite way. That's kind of what you're talking about. Will Clark was fabulous in picking up the ball. He could pick up the ball out of the pitcher's hand. Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, all these guys were so fabulous in putting the ball in play. You see a ball away, you go to left field. You see a ball away, a righty, you go to right field. Barry Bonds, fantastic at that also. But there's only a few hitters that can do that. You can't teach that to everybody. Every hitter can't be a Barry Bonds. Every hitter can't be a Will Clark. But I think what you're trying to say is make better contact. Put the ball in play a little bit more than popping out or striking out.
Bill, that's exactly where I'm getting at. I know pitchers now, because they all do the drop or the tall and fall method, and they'll throw 100.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The fastball is so formidable, which is why all these elbows are blowing up. I called up a couple weeks ago about this. I get it. But the second that it's not a fastball, recognize the pitch.
Yep. Recognize the
stay
spin.
on
I think
top
that's the first
and stay behind the darn curveball. Stay behind the sweeper. Stay behind the changeup. Just pepper it.
But they don't do that, Liam. A lot of those front shoulders open up. The front shoulder opens up, and they can't reach for that outside pitch. You see that with Willie Adames sometimes on those sliders. Yastrzemski with the curveball down in the zone. They don't stay back. That front shoulder opens all the time. It's a tough adjustment, especially when, like you just said, guys throwing the high 90s, and then the secondary pitch is in the high 80s. It's difficult to do that, and I just want them to put the ball in play. I think that's the biggest thing as me watching this and analyzing the game. Put the ball in play in situations where just choke up a little bit. Knock that. Don't swing so hard at it. Try to go opposite way. Put the ball in play. When you do that, things happen. And I think all hitting coaches, it doesn't matter if it's the Giants or anybody else, that's what they want to see. Instead of swinging so hard, and that's what they were teaching us years back when Farhan was here and Gabe Kapler was here and their hitting coaches. Swing as hard as you can. Doesn't matter if it's 3-0, 1-0, 2-0. We want you to swing as hard as you can and try to hit a home run. I didn't like that theory at all, and it didn't work. So we'll see what happens, Liam. You know, they're starting to hit better. Guys are getting out of slumps. And the All-Star break is always a great mental breakdown. You just kind of get away from the game and relax a few days. And we'll find out. A good win tomorrow will definitely get some momentum going into Toronto. But thanks for the call. Let's go out to Sebastopol and talk to Jeff. Jeff, you're on with Bill Laskey on KNBR. How's your afternoon going?
Hey, Bill. Great show. Thanks for adding to the fabric of the baseball season. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's talk, you know, I always say, Jeff, it's talk baseball. And callers understand the game. I always say that callers understand the game. They really do. And Giants fans really understand why aren't they hitting more? Why aren't they scoring more? Why are they making these mistakes? And, you know, when you talk about it and you kind of explain it to them, you start thinking about it a little differently. I watch the game differently because I played baseball professionally for over 15 years. So I see the game differently as a pitcher rather than a hitting coach because I was never a good hitter. So I can't tell you why they're popping up, or I always say, make contact. That's the easiest way I can tell it.
Right. Well, two things. I really appreciate Landon Root. He seems really tough, and I think it's good for the short term and also for the long term for the team if he's with us. So I'm really encouraged, I guess. And when he's on the mound, I really like watching him. He seems very confident, you know, and so I really appreciate him when he's going well. Second thing is, there's an earlier caller about, you know, fan behavior, and I'm thinking, like, you know, the game is kind of a microcosm of our society in general. Like, it's 2025. I've been watching the Giants since 1970. I picked them as my team versus the A's, and it kind of makes me sad when people can't be civil. I mean, you can be passionate. You can be like,
it's true.
Argue even.
But you're right.
But I don't want people to be rude, and I don't want them to be like violent. I mean, my goodness, we're just like humans. We're Americans.
Yeah.
So I just hope
the whole thing is, you know, I want to be able to wear my Giants gear into any visiting ballpark and not worry that someone's going to club me from the back of the head, or push me because I'm wearing a Giants jersey or a Giants hoodie or something like that. I'm enjoying my team, the Giants. If I can go to a visiting team and have fun doing it somewhere else, that only makes the passion of baseball grow. I don't want to go in Dodger Stadium and worry about my family, you know, getting beat up or having beers thrown at them. I'm not just saying L.A. I'm talking about majority, and you talk about it in a different way. And it's any sport, football especially. How many fights are at football games? Baseball, when you got rivalry games like the Dodgers and the Giants, pull up a little bit, enjoy the game, cheer for your team, but you don't have to have, you know, words and screaming at each other and wanting to fight because I got a Dodger jersey on and you got a Giants jersey on. That's not how the world should be.
No, it was funny. I was in Minnesota for a few years. I went to see the Twins game, and I was wearing a Giants jersey, and this guy said, "Hey, do you remember Dan Gladden?" I'm like, "Yeah, he played for the Giants." I'm a little bitter, but it was really funny. This is a great moment, and we talked. We were different fans, but it was really cool. So I just hope people will.
Good teammate of mine too. Dan's doing a fabulous job up in Minnesota, being a broadcaster. He's been up there for many years. I've known Dan for many years. He's a good dude. He played hard for the Giants as a center fielder, and then he carried on. Had a great career with the Twins.
He did. All right, thanks, my friend.
Jeff, thanks for the call today, and I appreciate you bringing that up about fans and things that should happen the correct way and not the wrong way, but I appreciate all your points. Let's go to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, you've been waiting for a while. How are you doing on a Saturday? It wasn't a fun day at Oracle. Still a good game, but one more to go, and I'd love to see the Giants pull that last one out.
Yes, we're hoping for a Sunday fun day so they can also take the series. Yeah, today it is what it is. That saying, sometimes you got to tip your cap to the unicorn. Three innings pitched. He did really well. He was born July 5th, 1994. And it's a big year for Cancers with Jupiter, planet of expansion, abundance, success, and Cancer. But hey, fellow Virgo Landon Roop, he held up his end of the bargain. He did really well.
Especially that last outing, Andrea, where he didn't do well in L.A., and he says, I was ashamed of myself. I didn't even want to look at the video of it. I didn't pitch well, and he has pitched so solid since then. And that's what I love about him. He's a battler. They call him grouchy man. I guess he's real grouchy in the day he pitches. And don't even talk to him. And I love that mentality. I love that mentality of a starting pitcher. Don't talk to me. I got one thing to do today. I'm going to be focused on pitching. Don't try to make fun of me. And on the opposite side, you had Tim Lincecum that walked in there with headphones on, and he didn't give a damn what anybody talked about him. He went out there and shoved it. So there's different ways of doing it as a pitcher on that day, but Landon Roop's that grouchy guy.
Yes, difference between Gemini and that song Electric Feel. When Timmy would warm up, it was like turned into a rock concert, and now it was amazing. I'd be there. It's like, wow, Timmy's warming up, Electric Feel's playing, and Roop was a Virgo. We're serious, we're hardworking, we're dutiful, we can be critical of ourselves. So he takes his job seriously, and he rebounded after a really shaky
he really
game
did, and
time.
4 real good starts too, Andrea. 4 solid starts back and back, and that's one thing when you start looking at some of the things he did. And after that game in June 14th, where he only went an inning and 2/3, he goes 20 1/3 innings, only giving up 3 earned runs, goes 2-0 in 4 starts going into this game. And today, another fabulous start. What I like about him, he's being conscious of being consistent. That's what I think he's trying to do, and use other pitches. We talked about Logan Webb using his cutter. We talk about Robbie Ray using his changeup. Here, Landon Roop at 26 years old as a rookie, and he used 32 changeups today. Some pitch that he's just learning, and he saw how good it was. Out of 8 strikeouts, 5 of them with a changeup, and I think that's going to give him momentum into the second half.
I like that. That's a good mantra. Conscious about being consistent.
Yep.
Yes, that's really well said. And I was wondering what channel the Giants game tomorrow is going to be on. So, at first, I thought it was ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, but apparently not.
No, it's on NBC Bay Area. I'm pretty sure. That's tomorrow.
The postgame
the game's still at 105.
Okay, the postgame show said we'll see you after the All-Star break. So I guess
I'd have to look into that. I thought for sure it would be on NBC Bay Area. It's an afternoon game, 105. So. Yeah, they didn't push it. They pushed the New York Met game. I know when the Mets are coming to town on 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's the last weekend of July. They pushed the Sunday game into the 4:05 start. That's going to be an ESPN game, and the 26th, which is Saturday, will be a 6:05 start. So all night games pretty much for that weekend. Well, Andrea, thanks for the call today. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and you have a great rest of Saturday.
You too. Take care.
Coming up next, I sit down with Jack Hyatt. Jack Hyatt played in the early 60s with the San Francisco Giants, 1965 to 69. He also managed in minor league baseball. And this is one of the coolest things that Jack was. For 16 seasons, he was the Giants' director of player development, really watched a lot of young pitchers and players come through the Giants organization. But I brought back to Rivalry with him, and this is in the early 60s with Mays, Cepeda, Tom Haller, Marichal, McCovey, the list goes on. And it was just some of the thoughts that he had back in the day, and then we kind of brought it into today's game as a catcher, because he was a very good catcher back in the day. So coming up next, I sit down with Jack Hyatt right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show, coming up next on the Sports Leader.
Hi, it's former Major Leaguer Buddy Biancalana. It was my zone experience in the World Series in which I played the best of my career that led to being the founder of Zone Motion, the only mental training program proven through research and studies to enhance performance and expedite development for athletes of any age. Whether you're a professional or any level amateur, regardless of your sport, Zone Motion is for you. You can check out this life-changing program at zonemotion.com. And go Giants!
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm delighted to bring my guest in. He played with the San Francisco Giants from 1965 to 1969. Also, he managed in minor league baseball. He was also director of player development for 16 seasons. Let's bring in a friend of the show, Jack Hyatt. Jack, how are you today?
Doing fine, thank you, Bill.
Well, Jack, this weekend, the Giants are playing the Dodgers. So many memories of your career as well as my career go back in date. But what you did in the early 60s, there was a lot of good rivalry games. You had Mays, McCovey, Marichal, so many great players prepared for these series. Tell me a little bit about those days.
Well, when I unfortunately never got the chance to to play in a World Series. But the atmosphere when we played the Dodgers was as close as you can get to that. It was such a we would plan on playing them well in advance. And I remember all the things that happened in those ball games. Everything was kind of multiplied by 5 in one of those ball games, and it was always a dandy. It was always a good ball game.
Jack, as my days when in the early '80s we played the Dodgers, you always looked at the schedule. You always knew when they were coming into Candlestick or you were going down to Dodger Stadium. Was it like that in the '60s when you played?
Yes. Well, Candlestick was quite cold, as we all know. But you go down to Los Angeles, that beautiful ballpark, and it still looks like it's brand new. And we play in front of there. That was where my family was. I was raised in the San Fernando Valley, so I had fans coming in, their parents and relatives, and but it was a beautiful place to play, and we were always in contention with them through those years. If you look at the one-loss record the Giants had in the '60s, it's unbelievable. We were the best in baseball, win-loss record.
Jack Hyatt joining me on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Your manager was Herman Franks for those years you played in the early '60s. Did he do anything different to prepare you for these games against the Dodgers, or is it just a regular rivalry, a big-time rivalry when you start looking at Dodgers-Giants?
Yeah, Herman, of course, was involved playing also as a catcher. And he would always get together with us and discuss how we're going to try to attack some of the hitters on that ball club. And he was an awful good manager. I enjoyed him very much. Herman was the type of gentleman that he did what he wanted in a game. He didn't necessarily go along what could cause problems in the press or anything else for over managing or under managing. He made more money than the owner, so he didn't have to worry about a job. But he was a very excitable man. Enjoyed playing for him, and that rivalry, culminating a little bit with the story with Juan and Roseboro and all that. But that was the energy that was involved in that. It was always something.
Jack, you talk about the Dodger hitters. You look at Wes Parker, Maury Wills, Willie Davis, Ron Fairley, a great list of hitters. But on the pitching side, you had to deal with Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, Claude Osteen. The list went on, and it just got harder by the years. How did you guys adjust to both sides?
Well, let's just put it this way. Every time we played Los Angeles, everyone hoped to get at least one hit in the 4-game series. Yeah, but we knew we were involved. This was back when occasionally there'd be a ball up and in and knock you down. That was the atmosphere we had, and we were close to fisticuffs a few times, and but those games were like we knew if we played them, that would be the two teams that should win the National League West was San Francisco and Los Angeles. That originally, though, that was just the National League and American League, but we played some wonderful games against them.
Jack Hyatt joined me for a few more minutes on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. You had a couple damn good pitchers on your staff too, not just being Juan Marichal, Warren Spahn, and also Mike McCormick was first Cy Young winner the Giants had. How did you prepare them to go up against these battles?
We're lucky. Those gentlemen were pre-prepared, and otherwise they wouldn't have had the years they had. But those guys look forward to going after them, and there used to be some arguments on that mound when they used to try and take one of those guys out of a game, But we had excellent pitching. People didn't. They thought with the hitters we had, if we ever got pitching, we win it all. Well, we had pitching, but the problem was so did everybody else, and that put us in that predicament. And because everyone had a 20-game winner back then, and or two, they would throw a shutout at you. So when you play the Dodgers, you better win every game you possibly can.
Jack, we both played at Candlestick Park, a very difficult ballpark to play in, but there was advantages because we played there as our home games. When you played the Dodgers there was always fights in the stands, pennants being burned. There was a rivalry for fans. What did you see in that?
Well, it was, especially in Los Angeles. You remember the old days? They used to sell seat cushions,
right,
at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
Well, I would be in the bullpen, which was quite frequently, and the game would end, and we would go into the dugout in Los Angeles, and they'd fire those cushions at us, and you had to dodge those things going across the field. But it was those games. The focus of the game was huge compared to everyone else we played. It was a lot of pride, and everyone the pride of playing in New York and then moving to San Francisco was still a part of that ball club.
Jack, you were a catcher back in the day. Of course, Dick Dietz was part of it. Also, Tom Haller was a big part of it. Catching has changed from then till now. You see pitch framing. You see different type of, placement of the crouch with the one-leg knee. Different advantages that the catchers are doing to try to steal strikes, try to make the strike zone a little bit better for the pitcher. How have you liked that watching the game now?
Well, it bothers me, the one knee. There was a time we used one knee, but there was no one on and not in a running situation. No one on, 2 strikes on the hitter. You went from catching on one knee to a regular position where you could block the ball if it was a breaking ball, or you possibly get a strike and also be able to field a bunt or whatever in that count. But you had to be an athlete. You could not sit on one knee with men on third base like I'm watching now. Pitchers are trying to find a location to throw a pitch that isn't hit for a home run anymore. So the breaking ball in the dirt is one of those factors. And a ball should never get by a catcher, a breaking ball in particular.
I was going to say, Jack, with the way they do the one knee, I think you have more pass balls. I don't think they can even rely on if a pitch is out of the zone to try to catch it for a wild pitch. It's more refining them in the zone where they can't block that ball at times.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That the reason they wanted you to catch on one knee originally was it was easier to catch and you wouldn't drop balls, and you could give the umpire a good look for a strike or a ball. But not to the point that you lose your athleticism to block a ball. Mm-hmm. And you want the pitchers to have confidence in you to be able to throw a breaking ball at any point in time, no matter who's on, who's not on, 2 strikes, whatever, you block the ball. And we're not even having any effort at that. There's no way you can move if you're on one knee, if the ball is a little bit away from the strike zone, breaking balls, but and fastballs, that matter. But Bill, the game has changed in this respect for me. Velocity. Mm-hmm. My God, I can remember there were maybe a handful of guys in the big leagues who threw close to 100 miles an hour. Close to. There was no radar guns to be able to tell, but all of them had the ability to throw strikes, and that was the difference in these two things. These young arms coming in throwing 100 miles an hour, it affects the umpires and the catching.
A few more minutes with Jack Hyatt. Of course, he played with the San Francisco Giants from 1965 to 69. Also, a director of player development for 16 seasons back with the Giants. And you talk about velocity, we talk about breaking balls. What about the pitch com? Do you like that with the isolated number by the catcher putting it into the pitcher and the middle infielders that know what pitch is coming rather than doing the old style signs?
I, I don't know the ability they have now to the catcher pitcher anymore. That left when I left. That came along, but I used to remember you would have to predict the ability of these guys to be able to throw strikes. But I think the home run, and I think the staffs now, if you give them 5 innings, it's not necessarily the guy's getting tired, but you're trying to give them a different look at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep running more pitching out there, you got a chance of getting through an inning with pitchers that the hitters have not sat on for 2 at bats, because you're going through that lineup. There was just a few guys back then that could go complete games. Juan Marichal was unbelievable.
No question there. And I think technology, Jack, as we're watching it together, technology is just changing the game. It's getting it better from replays. Now they're going to the ABS system, the automated ball and strike system. They're going to use that in the All-Star game coming up Tuesday, where the computer is going to be able to question, the hitter will be questioning the balls and strikes. It's taken away from the human element. That's one thing that baseball is moving into, more technology. I know you and I, as they say, old school, we like the umpires. We like talking to the umpires. You can grab a pitch here and there if you're talking to them. That's all going to go out the door. You're not even going to have pitch framing if this ABS system turns into the big leagues.
That's so true. The rapport between, let's say, the catcher and the umpire was huge. And all those guys were my friends that I got a chance to catch behind and in front of and take care of them and ask them questions. You could do that then. I'm afraid you can't do that now. You ask an umpire something, you're ejected. and so you're right. The human element. People used to go to a ball game to scream at umpires. You remember that?
Yeah, sure I do.
Okay, well, that's what I remember as a young boy and playing on it. That was part of it, the screaming and yelling and umpiring, and that is gone because they're right at the end of the story every day. If there's a play, it's done right, replayed 50 times to make sure. But the technology of the game, the pizza boxes they're using for bases. If you slide and steal second, but they can hang around and hold the glove on you until you want to stand up and dust your pants off. That used to be allowed, right. But that's part of the game. It's kind of hard for me to handle. We're coming to electronic age of baseball.
Well, Jack, as we finish up here, the rivalry is always going to be there. Dodger Giants fans always circle the calendar. Us baseball players used to do it. And, LA versus SF is going to battle as this weekend continues. But I want to thank you for your memories about this. And you know what? Baseball is changing, and we all enjoy the game, and I'm sure you still do.
Oh, I do. I born and raised in baseball. I had 58 years of professional baseball when it was all accumulated.
Wow.
And I didn't miss a year. But I miss it. I love it. And the fans seem to love it too. So that's the name of the game. If the fans are enjoying it, that's the way it should be.
Jack, I want to thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure catching up with you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Bill, and enjoyed it very much.
That was Jack Hyatt on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Back on the Extra Inning postgame show is a Saturday evening starting here in Northern California. Giants lose a tough one against the Los Angeles Dodgers this afternoon, 2-1. 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error for the Giants. 1 unearned run, and that happened in the second inning. And then 1 other run scored in the 6th inning. And Landon Roop just threw one hell of a game today. 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Lucchesi, Walker, and Rogers ended up throwing 3 shutout innings. And it was just a 2-1 ball game. The Giants just couldn't muster anything. Of course, Shohei Ohtani pitched his first 3 innings, got it up to 100 miles an hour, and that elbow's feeling pretty damn good for him. He threw 36 pitches, 25 for strikes. Most likely we will see Ohtani get stretched out after the All-Star break. But it was all Emmett Sheehan, a 25-year-old from New York City. He just came up June 18th, and he threw the hell out of the ball against the Giants today. 4 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Threw 55 pitches, 35 for strikes. Used a fastball, slider, changeup, curveball, the 4 basic pitches. But he really maneuvered the pitches in different zones, and he really got him to reach out. At one time, he had 12 in a row. The Giants just could not muster anything until the 8th inning. They had bases loaded with 1 out, a sac fly by Devers, but Chapman ended up hitting it into a ground ball to end the inning. Giants lose. So tomorrow, the matchup, the rubber game of the series, and something the Giants would love to get a win on before they get to the All-Star break. And they're going to Robbie Ray's going to be on the hill tomorrow. He's 9-3 with a 2.63 earned run average. Of course, a 2025 All-Star along with Logan Webb and Randy Rodriguez. He's going after his 20th start. He's had 1 complete game. We remember that one. And last game, he went 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run against the Phillies. Arizona was a real good one where he went to complete game, going 9 innings, 3 hits, 2 solo home runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Going against Yamamoto, though, Japanese right-hander, 8-7 with a 2.7 earned run average, giving up 10 home runs. His last game against Milwaukee, he only lasted 2/3 of an inning. Walked 2 guys, gave up 4 hits, gave up 3 earned runs, a home run, got taken out of that game. Pitched against the White Sox, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. But the game that I think all Giants fans are going to remember was in Los Angeles when the Giants played him for the very first time. The Giants won that game 6-2. That's when Casey Schmidt hit a grand slam off of Yamamoto. He won 4 2/3 that game. 6 hits, 5 walks he had, and gave up 5 earned runs. So the matchup will be tomorrow. I want to thank Valerie for tweeting me back. She gave me a direct message. The Sunday game is not going to be on NBC Bay Area. I want to thank Valerie once again. It's going to be on Roku streaming service. That's the only way you're going to be able to watch the game. But, of course, you can listen right here on KNBR First Pitch at 1:05. All right, my next guest, Daryl Thomas. I knew Daryl very well back in the day, played for the Giants for 3 years, played with the Dodgers for 5 years, played with the Padres for 4 years, 15 years in Major League Baseball, played every position on the field except pitcher. That's right, he was a catcher also. Really good couple seasons when he was here with the Giants. He was here from 1975 to 77. Some of the great players he played with, you could go on and on. Gary Matthews, Gary Maddox, Bobby Mercer, Chris Spire, Darrell Evans. The list goes on. Even Willie McCovey got in there for a few years. But, you know, what thing that he did, he worked his tail off to stay in the game. When you look at what he did for 15 years, he was always a hustler. He always hustled on and off the field. Had a good, fielding percentage. He played second and short and played the outfield. Most of the time played second base. But, I sat down with him, Daryl Thomas, and we talk about baseball. And a lot of the things that we talk about is the National League, where he played, like I said, San Francisco, L.A., and San Diego. The time that he won the World Series with 1981 with the Dodgers, he was that kind of guy where he was coming off the bench. He was really a utility player, but he was always there for Tommy Lasorda. And they had one hell of a team back in 1981 when they won it with Steve Yeager, Ron Say, Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes. You had Dusty Baker also in there, Guerrero, Smith. They had one hell of a team, and they ended up beating the New York Yankees. So coming up next, I sit down with Daryl Thomas right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show, and that's going to be right here on the Sports Leader coming up next.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey. I'm pretty excited to bring my guest on. Played 15 years in Major League Baseball, 5 with the LA Dodgers, 4 with the San Diego Padres, and 3 with the San Francisco Giants. In 1981, he was on the Los Angeles Dodgers World Series champion team. Let's bring in Daryl Thomas. Daryl, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Bill. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, you had some great years, 15 years, but I got to ask you right off the bat, you played every position on the field but pitcher. Tell me about all those positions and how you managed to learn them all.
Well, as a kid growing up, I was always told if you want to be able to play, you got to be able to play a number of different positions, so they can't say, well, we don't need a second baseman or we don't need a shortstop. We need an outfielder. We need a catcher. Whatever they needed, I wanted to be available for it.
Well, you played at Susan Miller Dorsey High School. You played there, played very well. And the Houston Astros picked you up in a 1969 draft as their first-round pick. Were you ready to sign? Were you ready to play pro ball? Was there any colleges knocking on your door?
I wasn't a very good student, so I didn't have very many options. And I think the scouts knew that too. I could have went to LA City College and played, but I wanted to sign. That was my dream, to play professional baseball. And once the opportunity came, and I had no idea what it meant to be the first overall pick, I just wanted to play baseball.
So when you signed and you went through the minor league system, what were some of the difficult things you had to overcome?
Well, my first year playing A-ball, I got sent to AAA that same year. So getting a chance to play against, I'm 18 years old playing against grown men who with big league experience, and I didn't know that much about the game, and it was hard adjusting to playing at that level.
Well, it worked out pretty well, and in 1975, you became a member of the San Francisco Giants. A big move, right to the big leagues, playing very well. You had a great lineup from Gary Matthews, Gary Maddox, Bobby Mercer, Dave Rader, Chris Spire. The list went on. These guys were all big-time Giants. How did you feel wearing the orange and black?
Well, it was kind of difficult in the beginning because playing second base, trying to replace Tito Fuentes was a tough job because he was definitely a fan favorite. So I had to kind of try to win the fans over by playing hard, and hustling as much as I could, to show the fans that I was worthy of being a San Francisco Giant.
Well, it worked out for you. You hit 276 that year, 28 stolen bases, 6 home runs, 9 triples, 21 doubles. You played in 144 games, Daryl. A lot on your plate, and you took it over. And tell me your thoughts on that year.
Well, that year was a pretty difficult year for me because I was having trouble, with my marriage and stuff, and leaving San Diego, coming to San Francisco was kind of a strain on my marriage. So, but I had to really focus on the game of baseball itself and not so much of my relationship. And that kind of helped, be a distraction for me to keep all of my personal life, personal and not really let it affect my play.
Daryl Thomas joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show. You had 3 different managers when you played with the San Francisco Giants. Wes Westrom, Bill Rigney, and Joey Altamale. Tell me a little about those relationships, because every year there was a new leader in that locker room.
Wes Westrom was a really good manager to play for. I mean, he was a player's manager and really didn't he just threw the balls and bats out there and said, hey, you guys know how to play. You're in the big leagues. Go out there and play and have fun. And playing for Joe Altobelli, him coming from the Baltimore Orioles, it was kind of a different atmosphere. It kind of brought that American League atmosphere to a National League team. And I don't think a lot of players were comfortable with it, but Joe was the type of guy who was also a player's manager, and he let you go out there and play also.
Daryl, you had an opportunity to meet and became good friends with Willie McCovey. Of course, he played toward the middle of your career with the Giants. What did he bring to that clubhouse, and what kind of leadership did he lead on you for?
I had two opportunities to play with Big Mac, with the San Diego Padres, and also with the Giants. And, you know, the leadership, Mac was so first class. He was a real leader and showed you what it's like to play in the big leagues. And with all the stories that he had, you know, about, you know, from where he came from and how tough it was, you know, the struggle, it really made us appreciate, you know, playing in the big leagues.
Well, Daryl, you moved on in 1979 down south to play with the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that was stacked with players from Steve Yeager, Ron Say, Steve Garvey, Bill Russell, Dusty Baker. The list went on. How did you make that change and going against the rivals that you just got done playing with the Giants? It had to be a change.
Well, you know, with the rivalry, playing from San Diego to LA, from LA to San Francisco to San Diego, that there was just a California rivalry. And I had a chance to play 12 of my 15 years on the West Coast between those three teams. And going back home to LA and playing at home was really a dream come true, because as a kid growing up, my favorite player was Maury Wills, and that's why I wore the number 30. And I have to say thank you to Orlando Cepeda for allowing me to wear the number 30 when I came to San Francisco. But that was my dream, to play for the Dodgers and to play shortstop for the Dodgers and wear the number 30. With all the players that they had playing in front of me, they had an infield that had been together for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to play much in the infield, but finding a spot in the outfield from time to time, and also being the opening day catcher for the Dodgers in 1980 was something that was an experience for me, because I hadn't caught since Little League. So that was a different experience.
Daryl, we talked about the managers you had with the Giants. You had one fiery manager in Tommy Lasorda. How did he take over that clubhouse? How was he an impression on you, and how he got you to play in all the different roles that you did with the Dodgers?
Well, when I first signed with the Dodgers, that was one of the things that Tommy told me right off the bat. He says, "Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how many at-bats you're going to get, but I just want you to be ready for whenever I call." And I said, "Well, Tommy, all you got to do is call my name and I'll be ready. Just so whatever you need, I'll do, because I just want to play."
Daryl, you played with a lot of good players, as I said, Dusty Baker being definitely a big-time teammate of yours. Also in 1981, Fernando Valenzuela came over, and that was his rookie year. 81, of course, you guys won the World Series. There was some faces that came aboard from, as I said, Jerry Royce, Bert Hooton, Mike Scioscia, a new team, but a new power team. How did you guys feel going into that World Series playing the New York Yankees?
Well, I had told Tommy Lasorda in 1978, standing around the batting cage, and Al Campanis was standing around there, and he heard me. And I think Al knew I was going to be a free agent in 79. So I told Tommy, you guys couldn't beat the Yankees in 77. You couldn't beat them in 78. And the only time you'll be able to beat them Yankees is if you get me on this ball club. And Al Campanis started laughing. And I walked away, and Tommy just, "Oh, that's bullshit. That's not going to happen." Excuse my French.
But the 81 World Series, it was a big-time World Series playing the New York Yankees. How elated were you at the end of that World Series when you ended up saying, "Hey, we're World Series champions"?
Well, at least I didn't make myself out as a liar, because I had told Campanis and I had told Lasorda that they wouldn't beat him until he got me on that team. So I got a chance to celebrate with him and live that dream.
Daryl Thomas joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show for a few more minutes. Let's talk defense. You played 15 years. You played in all the different positions. You only had 200 errors. You had over a 99-70 fielding percentage. When you look at all the different positions from the outfield, from different parts of the infield, What was a big part of your defense, and how did you make yourself better?
Well, because I had to work on it day in and day out. I mean, my daily routine was to take ground balls at short, second, third base, fly balls in the outfield, and then go in the bullpen and catch a couple of guys, just to get used to receiving the ball. That was part of my daily routine, and I just wanted to play.
Daryl, there was two pitchers, a righty and a lefty, that you hit pretty well. Joe Niekro being one, 17 for 52, two doubles. You hit 327 off of them. Now, Jerry Royce was back in the day. He wasn't a Dodger when you were facing him, and you hit him pretty well, too. 15 for 42, two doubles and a home run, 357. What did you see in Niekro and Royce that you hit very well and consistent against?
Well, because I had gotten my first major league hit off of Phil Niekro, I made it a point to try to punish his brother as much as I could. But no, I just enjoyed playing, and I just fortunately had, pretty good luck against those guys. And Jerry Royce was real tough. And not only, was he tough facing him, but catching him also, because I caught him that day in 1980, opening day.
Hey, Daryl, there was two pitchers, of course, that everybody struggled with, Steve Carlton and J.R. Richards. Of course, J.R. Richards doesn't get the accolades that we both saw when he pitched. But when you looked at Carlton, you had 220 off of him. J.R. Richards, you struggled against him. Two guys that you went up there competing with, and both of them should be in the Hall of Fame. One is and one isn't. Tell me a little bit of your thoughts on Carlton and J.R. Richards.
Well, having a chance to play with Steve also in 1985, I got a chance to see how really professional he is. He was a professional pitcher, and he took his craft serious. And as far as J.R. Richards went, I mean, J.R. was my roomie at spring training in 1969 with the Astros, and I got a chance to really know him and the person he was and how much he was dedicated to the game of baseball himself and how much he loved pitching in the big leagues. And he was tough to face because it seemed like he would just take one step and he's just dropping the ball in the catcher's glove. That's how close it seemed he was to you.
Well, Daryl, as we finish up here, 15 years, you played with 7 different teams, and you talked about the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers all on the West Coast. If you had to thank Major League Baseball for the career you had, all the memories and all the players that you got to meet, the friendships, and all the lasting memories, how would you do it?
Wow. I mean, that would be tough because I don't think words could, describe how thankful a kid from L.A. who really loved the game of baseball and was really passionate about playing the game of baseball could have an opportunity to play Major League Baseball and win a world championship. You can't put that into words, and it would be hard to describe and express the feelings that are involved with that.
Well, Daryl, thank you for your time. It was great catching up with you, and a pleasure, my friend.
Bill, thanks for having me.
That was Daryl Thomas on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to an extra inning post-game show as we close out a Saturday. Giants lose a tough one today at Oracle, 2-1. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 3 hits, 1 error for the Giants. The Giants now are 52-44, 5 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NL West. Tomorrow, the rubber game, you're going to hear it right here at 1:05 or Roku streaming. We'll be watching. You can watch it. Yamamoto against Ray. Yamamoto 8-7 with a 2.77 earned run average. He's a National League All-Star. And Robbie Ray is also an All-Star. He's 9-3 with a 2.63 earned run average. Giants need a good win here to catapult them in the All-Star break. It would be a great win to win the series. I want to thank my guests today, Daryl Thomas and Jack Hyatt. If you missed either one of those interviews, you can check them out on all KNBR podcasts. Tomorrow, I got a couple good ones tomorrow, too. I sat down with Dominic Smith. Of course, he's the first baseman for the San Francisco Giants. 9 seasons in Major League Baseball, and we talk a lot of things that he did in his career and a lot of new things that you don't know about him, and I hope you can listen in to that one. And Mickey Hatcher, a really funny baseball player, played with the Los Angeles Dodgers. 1988, he won a World Series with them, and in 2002, he was on the coaching staff with Mike Scioscia with the Angels, and of course the Angels beat the Giants in that World Series, and we talk a little bit about that. So both of those will be on tomorrow in the Extra Inning post-game show following up the game, and we'll close out before the All-Star break on Extra Innings until the following weekend when the Giants fly to Toronto. I want to thank Kyle Har for producing the show and all the great phone calls we have all the time on these shows. It's great to talk Giants baseball with all of you. For Bill Laskey, be safe, be well, and enjoy the rest of the day. It's a beautiful day here in Northern California, and we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing for the righty on your home of San Francisco Giants baseball. This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
KNBR 104.5 and 680.